welcome to the pod. Heard it was good, didn't watch. I'm Sam.
And I'm Andrew.
And this is the podcast where we watch and discuss movies from roughly 2012 to 2020. AKA...
the pump and dump period of Hollywood, as I have coined it.
not exactly a golden age, but definitely a time of high fertility for Tinseltown.
So fertile, in fact, that we did not see many of the movies that came out during this time period. So if they're good, or they're bad, or they're meh, we're going to cover it all. We heard about it, and we didn't watch it. And now we're going to.
Yeah, so I think this started with us just texting, and it eventually transpired into a letterbox list.
Yeah, I'm a guy that listens to a lot of podcasts, and I'm always like trying to think of podcast ideas, and then I'm like, oh, that's been done already, because it's now been around for like 20 years, and everybody has a podcast. But I'm coming from a place of like, like genuine love for the art form. Like I'm cranking out probably like 10 to 15 pods a week. I don't listen to music that much anymore. That's my whole thing.
Wow.
I know that you're a music guy, but I
get
absorb
pod fatigue
podcasts
for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's like the best art form. Well, not the best art form.
Wow.
These are movies that are not talked about. We were interested in the fact that as we started to grow up in the 2010s and started to become like, very like aware of cinema, we were seeing a lot of movies. And these are movies that we saw trailers for once or twice. Because it's not like it was, or back in the day versus now, where you see like, the trailer for The Wolfman 800 times when you're going to the movies. You would see like a trailer a couple times and then it would like go away because they were pumping out so many movies. So we're interested in seeing the movies that we, heard about it, didn't watch it, and now we're going back to revisit it. Like this kind of spawned because I was thinking about like all the Liam Neeson movies that like I saw the trailers for in the 2010s and then never saw, but he probably made like $5 billion off each movie. I'm like, it must have something of merit,
Off the top of my head, nonstop.
Welcome on the Tombstones.
Run all night or something.
Run all night. I did see Run all night actually.
I saw Nonstop.
Taken 3. Oh, there you go. Perfect.
We're the yin and yang of shitty Liam Neeson action movies.
So here's some context about us too. We're both filmmakers. Sam is a celebrated filmmaker. He's a director, writer. I'm more writer-producer, helping him to see
Make
his
it
vision.
happen.
Actually, yeah.
Boots on the
Congrats on your nomination, or not your nomination, but getting to the Garden State Film Festival.
Yes, my film will be premiering at the Garden State Film Festival at the end of March.
Little plug. I also produced it. I'm in it. Wrote some credited dialogue. So it's so I don't take that nomination or that entry lightly. That's that's big for both of us.
Yeah, and our sound mixer Bash, who's off mic, also did sound for that project and many other projects.
Known Sam now for 5 years. Yeah, I think roughly about that.
5 this fall.
Through Zoom in film school. So we kind of met through that way and then became roommates and then ended up working together for 4 years too. And which he hosted a podcast, Conversations with Creatives.
Yeah, you may have heard of it.
Yeah, got about like 80 views by Rutgers people. Now, it is slightly better than that. Like 1,000 views. Either way, we have done a podcast before together. So Sam and I spent a lot of time together, a lot of time just talking about movies. And that's what everybody says. But I really think...
We really like movies, though.
We really like movies.
We're
Sam
different.
actually has a philosophy on them. If you want a brief summary of that.
I'll get into this a little bit later with today's film, but I genuinely think that part of enjoying film and liking movies is kind of connecting them together. So you could take a movie from... the common example I think of is like you have like the 60s French New Wave films, and then you have the new Hollywood filmmakers who are kind of taking from the French and making these American films that are like so radical to the time, but they're really kind of just riffing on the French from the 60s.
Or then people like, like Altman, like who were also making movies at the same time as the New Wave, and then inspire people like Spielberg. His take on dialogue and mixed dialogue and stuff like that.
Right. So it's just this idea of kind of being thoughtful with how you're watching movies and kind of placing whatever movie it is, even, like I said, today's film. Can we introduce the film?
Yeah.
Today we're going to be talking about 2014's The Judge, starring Robert Downey Jr. and Robert Duvall. Two huge stars.
Huge stars. Two different Roberts, two different generations, but coming together for
very different actors.
One Oscar-nominated movie. Yeah. Hugely different.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it, and also in terms of one's always number one on the call sheet, one's always number two, and it continues in this. Someone like Duvall has consistently been the guy I think he sees himself as second,
Right.
and then he was like Tom Hayden in Godfather. He's always second fiddle,
and I think he's a very, I mean, we're gonna talk about this as well, but Duvall is like a very thoughtful guy, and he's like a real actor's actor, and I don't think he takes like bullshit from anybody. Like he's very like famously, he didn't do Godfather 3.
No,
which would have been huge for him.
Would have been huge
in 1990 because Coppola wasn't paying him enough money.
But he didn't need that like Al Pacino did. Pacino was such a big star that when he's doing that movie, that's like always kind of a career resurgence for him. Like he's always looking for the next thing to like continue to keep that fame alive. But Duvall consistently has been a character actor since our parents were born.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny because I was like, oh my god, like yeah, Robert Duvall is like one of my favorite actors. And I'm looking at his IMDb and I'm like, well, actually, I don't think I've only seen a handful of his movies. Like I haven't, like with Pacino, I've seen 20 of his movies.
Yeah.
I have such as high esteem for Duvall, even though it's mainly that Tom Hagen role from Godfather.
Yeah.
Or
he shows up in MASH.
Yeah.
I watched the original MASH early in the year, or early last year. And I was like, oh, Duvall's in this. I don't know. And he's not a big part of it, but I'm like, oh, I'm happy to see him in this movie. You want to read the plot synopsis just to get people up to speed here?
Gladly. The film follows big city lawyer Hank Palmer, who returns to his childhood home where his father, the town's judge, is suspected of murder. Hank sets out to discover the truth. Along the way, he reconnects with his estranged family.
And that's loose.
It actually leaves out a pretty big detail, I think. I mean, to me, the IMDb synopsis leaves out the part where Robert Duvall has explosive diarrhea.
As someone who just ate at Chili's, I do understand the need to explosive diarrhea. Like, it probably feels pretty good. It probably feels good to let it out like that. If you're old and dying of cancer. Also, oh, by the way, there will be spoiler for the 11-year-old movie.
Spoiler alert. Robert Duvall has explosive diarrhea as RDJ holds him up in a bathroom.
I also have like thoughts on this too.
And it's vile.
He I think it was CGI, right? Well,
no.
Because he doesn't like have any sort of reaction to the fact that he is going with diarrhea. Going like and then you just like see it coming out. No one really has a reaction to it, like in a big way.
It is strange. At first, I was like, wait, what just happened? Like, what is that liquid? I thought he maybe peed his pants, and then I was like, oh my god, like it's dark.
It's coming at the back.
It's dark, it's chunky.
There are like so many scenes in this movie that like don't, or like it'll be like something insane will happen, and then like they don't follow up with it.
Well, I think it's worth mentioning that the film is directed by David Dobkin. Who people might not recognize by name, but this is the guy behind Wedding Crashers, The Change Up, Fred Claus.
Yeah, he's kind of a journeyman now. I feel like a lot of filmmakers from the 2000s who were directing like a lot of stupid middle budget films then kind of became like the stupid middle budget like drama directors. Like I'm thinking like a Jay Roach too, like who'd like to meet the parents in Austin Powers, and he did what, like Bombshell?
Is that right?
I think he did Bombshell and stuff like that.
Interesting.
And he's consistently done like a lot like of weird little films that like are dramas. Yeah. They're probably fine, but he's not doing studio comedies anymore because no one's hiring him.
2019, that might actually qualify for the show. I mean, I did some research ahead of the episode, but Dobkin is actually not insignificant in the later part of his career. Dobkin has actually directed 7 late-era Maroon 5 music videos.
Oh.
Yeah.
How did him and Adam Devine get linked up, you think?
Well, I actually have the answer. So, in 2014, David Dobkin was in Rome for the premiere of The Judge. During his stay there, he received an email from Levine asking him to direct the band's new music video. Do you know which music video that was?
For 2014?
Yeah. Huge song.
Was that Animals?
No. Same record.
Oh, you know the records now.
I know the era. I know Animals and this song were like huge.
Transition. Moves like Jagger?
That's earlier.
But yeah, no, that's like 2012.
It's Sugar.
How's that going? Oh. So you
Sugar.
don't know the era.
How's it go? It goes Sugar. For some reason, I have that one song, Special. That's a different song. So basically, Levine wanted him to do the music video for Sugar. Dobkin, I guess, having so much, I guess we could call it juice after the judge, comes back with him about this idea of doing like kind of like a takeoff on Wedding Crashers. So the whole music video is Maroon 5 going around Los Angeles to different weddings, and they're surprising the groom and the bride, and it's like this huge white tent, and the tent drops, and they're like, Sugar, you're sweet, and they surprise the whole wedding party, and they're like the girls are like rubbing their mouth, like starting to sob at the sight of Adam Levine on stage. I was at my girlfriend's house this weekend doing research for the pod, and I played like 2 of the Maroon 5 videos that he had directed on the TV, and I was like blasting the Maroon 5 song, and I heard my girlfriend's roommate in the other room, and I was like, oh my God, I seriously hope that she doesn't think I'm just listening to Maroon 5, like getting work done. I'm like, oh, let me throw on Sugar. Well, this takes me to, I think we should backpedal a little about like what we knew about the judge at the time of its release. Like,
Absolutely.
like we said, like we had this awareness of the movie. Like when the movie first starts and it basically has this gag, because RDJ is funny.
Well,
and
also
he's pissing on comic actor Krumholtz.
David Krumholtz.
And he looks like disheveled, like he's not put together.
His suit doesn't fit him.
Yeah, like
like they really made Krumholtz like seem like a joke,
which is good.
But he's not a joke because we love Krumholtz.
And he seems like another kind of big shot lawyer in Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah. But to answer your question about learning about the movie.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like the year 2014 was the year I came into consciousness on like what's good and what's bad. Like I remember, I'm not really a big fan of Birdman anymore, but that was a movie where I was like, this is a great movie. And early in the year, I see the remake of RoboCop, and it sucks. I remember being like, oh wow, so Michael Keaton did a good movie and a bad movie in one year. And that for some reason
he's in RoboCop?
He's like the villain in RoboCop.
Oh wow.
And for some reason that opened up like my mind to being like, wow, you can see movies like in a different way. Had a perception, the judge, also for the fact that RDJ was like the most famous man alive. He was like everyone's favorite actor. This was right after Iron Man 3 and 2 years after the Avengers, so it's like he was on a roll.
Yeah, that's another way we're kind of framing the show, is like it's ironic that we're starting with an RDJ drama film, but we're kind of thinking it as like post-Avengers, pre-COVID.
Absolutely. Well, for him
era.
would be Doolittle.
Pre-Doolittle.
Pre-Doolittle, which was his passion project after Iron Man.
It's interesting.
And a bomb beyond belief.
It's insane.
Which kind of was a testament to the fact that his star power, I think, was fading.
Yeah, I mean,
you see the judge, it made $85 million. There is zero chance that if it came out today that this movie would make anywhere close to $85 million.
Yeah, I mean,
it's hitting max 50.
Or it's on a streamer service.
Oh, it's 100% a streamer. 100% a streamer.
And that's kind of this other, I don't know if we're lamenting it, but we're just sort of noting how, you know, this movie has a $50 million budget. Like these mid-budget movies that are either gone or they're on Netflix or wherever.
Yeah, and also
they're not getting this big release.
Yeah, and also people don't want to see them. People want to see Avengers Doomsday.
Secret. Is that something else? No, Secret Invasion.
I think there are two
of
them.
Is that the show? Secret Invasion?
Secret Invasion, yeah. Yeah, but people don't really want this movie anymore, which is a shame, because even if it, like, I'm not the biggest fan of it, you know, not to like, you know, get ahead of myself, but I still think it should exist.
Yeah.
I'm happy for it. I'm happy they made The Judge.
And I remember, I mean, how old were we? 12, 13?
Yeah.
Like, I remember the trailer. Like, this movie had a lot of things going for it. Like, RDJ, we were aware of him.
It probably showed before Iron Man 3.
Yeah, I mean, it was a huge, I mean, I remember the trailer, like, it coming out. This came out in October of 2014, so I was just starting my 7th grade year in middle school. I don't know.
And you at that point were like a film fan?
Yeah, I was definitely. By 7th grade, I was like, okay, I'm gonna make movies. I think I made my first.
I
think I made my first film. Like, got my friends together and used my mom's iPad that previous summer of 14. Wow.
Well,
So, I mean, I was in it,
yeah. So
but
this is kind of
I
a
wasn't
special
pulling,
time for you.
I wasn't pulling my dad's, shirt, being like, let's go see the judge. Like, take me to see the judge. Again, we were aware of RDJ. I was certainly aware of Robert Duvall because
I don't know if I was.
I mean, The Godfather in my family is like a sports team. It's like passed down. It's like you get to a certain age, we're watching The Godfather.
It's like the Yanks.
Yeah, it's like the Yankees. But I mean, Robert Duvall, especially in Godfather 2, I think to have Pacino in Godfather 2 giving one of the greatest performances of all time, and Duvall, again, like you said earlier, in kind of a secondary position, but he's supporting like such a great script as Tom Hagen, and it's such a like a reserved performance. And even as a 12-year-old, I was like, shit, like Duvall, like he's the guy.
Yeah, right now you say that Four Christmases.
Yes, I do want to give a shout out to Four Christmases.
Jack Reacher. I probably saw him in Jack Reacher actually. So maybe
Definitely
I'm like,
saw
oh, that's
Jack
the guy from Jack Reacher, Dad.
He's playing. He's the judge.
God, he was born. He's 94 years old.
Still kicking it.
I thought this is probably like a send off for him. They were like, oh, Duvall's like 80
Yeah.
something already. Duvall's like, he's his mid 80s. This is his final performance. So people didn't probably think he'd still be alive 11 years later, and he's still working.
He doesn't look great either.
No, he
10
did an
years
interview about him and Colbert. Where Colbert like went to his house and like talked to him for like an hour.
Really?
Yeah, it's like pretty
When
good.
did that come out?
Like last 2 years or so, probably.
Oh, interesting. Like I said, he is very thoughtful and he cares a lot about the acting, but I went down a rabbit hole of like the press junkets from this movie.
Yeah?
And he's just like, he doesn't crack a smile once. Like,
So is he more like a Tommy Lee Jones type actor then, in terms of like,
oh, they're buddies. Yeah.
he's in it for the craft, but doesn't really care what happens or the press or if it does well, whatever. He just
He doesn't care about awards. He doesn't care about any of that. But
well, he was friends with Brando, right? Too.
Brando, believe me, the Brando stuff, and goes back to my connective tissue thing. Like, you have this elder statesman Brando in The Godfather, ushering in this new class with Pacino and James Caan and Duvall and Diane Keaton, and Brando. They were just busting each other's chops on the set. Like, it was like a mentor thing, but it was more like a camaraderie. Like, your fellow actors. Like, here we are together. So it is. I felt maybe moved by the film because I had experienced Duvall as a younger man, and now here he is, older, with Downey, who's older, but he's not Duvall old.
Yeah, and definitely something that I have become more aware of, and I'm also thinking of it, with the passing of David Lynch, which happened last week, which that does count the other podcast, but we are about to lose that whole generation of actor.
Absolutely, yeah, actors, directors,
and actors that I really just kind of fell in love with the last like 5 years of my life. And I'm like, oh my god, they're all really old. Yeah, but this is also, you're right. It's definitely a passing of a torch. In terms of, here's Duvall, here's the kind of movie that he would have made 50 years ago, and it's really the last kind of era that they made those. And it's kind of like, all right, see you, Duvall. We're gonna make Avengers 3.
Yeah, right. You can also
be like Redford and hop on the train, or we can die bitter.
Can we clip Duvall at the end of this movie when he's on the stand and he's getting berated by his son on the stand, which I will get to, which I love. But at the end of the scene, he's like, "I'd like to go home now." Can we just get "I'd like to go home now" and then the fucking Silvestri theme, like playing him out?
Dun, dun.
But yeah, I mean, RDJ was definitely, like you said, first billing. Like, he is the draw. Like, I was very aware of him as a kid, not only as Tony Stark, who obviously we loved, but also I think what drew our parents to the Marvel movies initially was RDJ.
Yeah,
because
comeback story.
Yeah, they grew up with him in the 80s. Like, he had this comeback story.
Weird Science,
but more than that, maybe this is why I'm kind of like me, but when I was a kid, I was watching Chaplin.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never met a single person who's seen Chaplin.
Chaplin, you
An
like it?
Oscar nomination for it.
Oh, it's a great performance as Robert Downey Jr. plays Charlie Chaplin, also co-starring your boy Dan Aykroyd is in Chaplin.
I had no idea Aykroyd was in Chaplin. I think that this movie is also particularly interesting to see after the Oscar win that RDJ just had for Oppenheimer, because this is kind of
He kind of had two comebacks where it was like he came back, oh my god, RDJ is back, and he's basically playing himself as Tony Stark. And then
yes, correct.
everyone's like, fuck this, like fuck the Marvel movies.
And he's playing Hank Palmer
Yeah.
as Tony Stark.
It's again, a lot of half-assed research here, but something I came across was Dobkin told RDJ to act as much like Tony Stark in the beginning of the film, like during the
'cause he's an
Chicago
asshole?
portion. Something about how audiences.
Because he's such an asshole in this. Like, he's such an asshole.
But do you like him?
Do you like Hank Palmer or
Yeah.
like RDJ?
Hank Palmer.
No, I don't like Hank Palmer. He sucks.
Because I like Hank Palmer.
He still sucks by the end, too.
Because to me, RDJ, like I love RDJ and I love Hank Palmer.
But watching him in this, and I'm like, oh my god, like Kieran Culkin just does this, but way better.
What are you saying right now? You
I think Kieran Culkin
reaches
does
the
the
heights of
RDJ?
RDJ?
100%. He's going to win the Oscar this year for Real Pain, which he's excellent in.
You think
Which I-
Kieran Culkin's going to win an Oscar this year?
He's winning Best Supporting Actor. I'm telling you right now.
Wow. That is a hot
But he
take.
does that like annoying guy, like he's a douchebag who's trying to hide his vulnerability way better than RDJ, and I like Kieran Culkin more. And that's my hot take. I was like hurting for him in A Real Pain in a way that I never hurt for him in this movie.
But I don't think you're not a Succession guy.
I'm not.
I adore Succession, and based on what I've seen from him in interviews and the trailer of A Real Pain, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, he's doing Succession,
He's doing,
but also,
maybe you're onto something because he is kind of being himself.
correct in the same way that RDJ is.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously it's stretched a little bit, but it is that core of like. I mean, it's probably better to not stray too far away from who you actually are when you're doing those kind of roles.
No, I mean they're not character actors. I mean, I guess Culkin's a character actor, but also his range isn't huge. I guess he's still a little bit Wallace, is a little bit himself in Scott Pilgrim.
Even as a young teen, I think I was aware that this movie was Oscar bait.
Oh,
Like
sure.
it really
It's
wanted
total
to
Oscar
be
bait.
like this prestige, like The Judge, like,
Yeah,
and how a
I
lot of
think
these movies
has-
are that kind of.
It is
they're aiming
interesting
for that.
that it has every factor, like like to be a great movie, and it's not really working in a way that it should.
Yeah.
And there's something that is like deeply missing at our script level, I think, because it's fine. You still get like a lot of good performances out of it, and it looks fine, and it's well directed and well acted. But there's something that's missing. I think it's all in the script for that.
It looks very 2014.
It's shot by, do you know who shot it?
Yeah.
Shot by Kaminsky, Spielberg's guy.
I got so far down the Maroon 5 rabbit hole.
that you didn't look who
Janusz
shot it?
Kaminski was right in front of my eyes.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's shot by Kaminsky, and he has not done a lot of work over the last
Outside
10,
of
15 years.
Stevie.
Yeah, but he did
He's
this.
an interesting guy because they do Schindler's List in 93.
He wins the Oscar.
Well, then he does, I think, every single Spielberg movie since,
Yeah,
which is
Yeah.
like
he
unbelievable.
shot West Side Story, shot Fablemans, right?
He shot everything. He shot Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which I think actually looks really cool.
It looks fantastic.
Because it's Kaminsky, who's
He's-
like this very serious DP, shooting the pulpy Indiana Jones movie.
He shot Ready Player One.
Yeah,
Interesting.
everything. I think. I mean,
Well, and this is also an interesting point. How I was thinking this in terms of Bill Pope and like when someone who's an incredible DP, and I'm like, oh wow, I think the DP really is so reliant on a good director, and that's something I never really thought about. I'm like, you can still shoot something that's a bad movie, it looks incredible, but I'm like, wow, I mean, like how come people like him, Bill Pope, like outside of their masters like Raimi and Spielberg are still making things that look pretty flat. I feel like a lot of this movie is like they had an idea and they had to work backwards, so it came in in a later draft.
Yeah.
Because the stuff with his wife is not important to the plot at all,
I completely agree.
and it's like a very weird choice to start on the movie where you don't even have to have her in it. It's like fine without her.
It takes
Like it's almost a better movie. I get the daughter is there from the start
yeah.
because that makes his relationship with him and Duval work so much better because he gets to see the softer side that he never got.
I love that scene when.
Oh,
First of all, I love RDJ with the kid in the car.
yeah.
He just seems like such a natural like dad, and then he's talking about like grandpa, and he's like, "Yeah, he's a mummy." Like he calls him a fucking mummy, which I love.
That's
And
my favorite part of the movie.
yeah, and then he comes outside, and she's like, "Oh my god, like grandpa," and he's like super chill with her, Duval.
Yeah.
And
Oh, he's also like, he's also like on the verge of death. Like he's like, oh, grandpa's awful, and then he's like, are you my sweet girl? like he is a mummy.
how about we get some ice cream? But they never do get to have that ice cream date though.
Well, we don't know. We actually don't know because maybe the diarrhea wasn't.
I
was
think
related
after Duval has CGI diarrhea everywhere, which I'm still not sold on, but if it is, that's funny.
I love how she's trying to pound down the door.
knock knock.
She, but they don't yield on that. Like she tries to get in
Okay,
for the whole entire scene.
I'm gonna propose that we link this scene in the description because I don't actually expect many of you to go seek out The Judge.
Yeah,
In its entirety.
well, you should.
Well, we'll get to our recommendations later, but we have to link the diarrhea scene.
Yeah. Yeah, so then he goes home to his wife who has cheated on him since he's working so much.
Sometimes Duval's like, "Oh, your wife's played hide the pickle with somebody," and
Your wife's playing hide the pickle with another man.
and Downey just makes like this face, like an office face, like,
yeah,
come on,
what?
Dad.
Come on, old man. But I don't know. It's such a weird. Like they paint her like a bitch, but also like he's a bitch too. So you're like,
I love. Well, then
it's such a funny dynamic because also I don't know why. Like I assumed it would be somebody famous plays his wife, but like, I assumed they'd be like Vera Farmiga. I'm like, who's this girl? And she's like, you're never home. He's like, oh, she screwed somebody else.
yeah, and he's like walking around the house, and he's like, "You're like she's living with me, like I'm taking her," and then she like flames him, and she's like,
Yeah.
What is it she says? She's like,
What's her favorite color?
yeah, what's her favorite color?
And like,
And
to be fair,
she
I don't think my dad knows my favorite color.
Or like that first court scene with Duval, where Downey's like upstairs,
He's
and
watching, yeah.
and the judge is like being so nasty.
So you give her your truck.
Yeah, like being such a hard ass on this guy. And he's like, "What?
That was also
You can't do that."
that was also my first observation. I'm like, oh, these guys are both assholes. These guys both suck. Like he's like a vigilante. Like no court of law would be like, you bought a new truck outside. I saw that truck. It's hers now. Or maybe I don't even understand the judicial system.
That's
I
how
also was watching.
I was
this movie.
wondering, like, is this really how it works?
It's a devastating call. His mother passed away.
Oh yeah, so there's this hilarious scene where Cromwell is pissed on, and then Cromwell is like, "Fuck this guy!" Like he's like stopping like the proceedings in the courtroom.
How many times you used that excuse? Once.
He's like, "My mom died." And it's like, oh god, like things get very serious very quickly.
Yeah, he goes home.
He goes home. He's
And-
driving. I guess he rents a car. Well,
Here's
first
the Ford
first he
Explorer.
has a really intense, as we mentioned, the fight with his wife, and he's like, "What are the fucking hydrangeas?" And he like drives away.
He says that, and then he rips out of the house.
Yeah,
I was his daughter. I'd be like, oh my god.
Dad's literally nuts. But
Yeah.
then I don't know if you caught it. You must have caught it because it's so glaringly obvious. He's driving in that field in his car, and
Yeah.
the shot starts with him like looking through the driver's seat window, and then it's like this weird CGI drone shot.
Oh
It
yes.
like pulls out of the car
Yeah.
and like cranes up to show you like the Indiana field.
And it looks CGI.
It looks like a video game, like some weird like.
But then it kind of normalizes, and I was like, is
Yeah.
it CGI?
I was wondering like what like the
I guess they tried to mix the shots
blending
together. Yeah.
two different shots, but when it first pulls out and it's like clearly like a real shot of Downey in this, it looks like a car commercial. It's like this fake looking car, and it just like drives off.
Yeah, and then he goes right to the house. Or no. He goes to the judge. He talks to the judge.
He observes.
He observes the
He
judge.
doesn't- he's
And
like,
sees his
hiding.
brothers first.
Played
It's a
by-
good look. It's a good trio of brothers.
Love him.
RDJ, Jeremy Strong, Vincent D'Onofrio.
Those are the three. Which on
who also
paper,
looks huge in this movie. Compared to those two, who are probably both like 5'7",
well, I think
5'8".
I
and
think D'Onofrio was prepping for
Kingpin. That's yeah,
'Cause
exactly. So
in
he's
the-
like he's big. He's like
yeah.
really big in this.
in the press for this movie, like he's fully bald and clean shaven,
Oh, yeah?
and just looks like Kingpin. And Jeremy Strong plays the autistic brother,
I was
which is
I was curious at first. I was like, oh, so like, is this going to be a motif throughout the film? And it kind of is, of like the archival footage, and they keep going back to like
I don't like
him
it.
fishing. I don't like it either. I'm like, oh, is this going to be like a motif of like seeing like this found footage of the family before he became so mean? Oh no, it's just his brother who has a special interest in cameras.
Yeah, he's got to film everything. He's like freaks out if he can't film. Like, honestly, tricky part to play.
Tricky part to play.
Very tricky.
Yeah,
But
very
honestly,
tricky.
I think Jeremy Strong, who I love as an actor, another reason to watch Succession.
Yeah,
I think he actually pulls it off incredibly
I
well.
think so too. He treats it with a ton of respect.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and you
I think
buy
he's a
it.
fun character.
Was it Dale?
Dale. Yeah. Dale. They're always like,
They're
Dale.
shouting at. I love how like aggressive they are with him.
They're so rough with
But that's
him.
like so real, you know? Like that's
Also, they act like he's a freak when he's like honestly the most like
sweet.
the most sweet like and chill one of that family. When everyone's like aggro and all the time to each other, and Dale's so sweet. No way to handle him. And it's shown that like he literally smashes the camera.
Oh right, the climactic scene.
Where he smashes his camera. He filmed the car wreck.
Okay, so basically there's
Yo,
this horrible.
Wait.
There's
We say
tension. There's
We-
tension between the judge, Duvall, and the son, Robert Downey Jr.
But there's not a
But
lot
we
of
don't-
tension between Hank and his brother.
No, but
Like you don't really like. It doesn't really read like there's beef between like him and his brother.
no.
Like they seem fine with each other for the most part.
But a big part of the movie is us knowing something happened in the past,
Yeah,
and it's sort of slowly revealed what
we see that
actually
car wreck
occurred.
footage later, or we see it a lot earlier, right? But we don't know the context.
I think we only hear about it in a story, and then when we're shown, I actually find that Super 8 scene a little bit scary. When it's
Yeah,
like,
it's a little bit scary.
when it's like okay, like fun,
It's like sinister.
like yeah,
The
like
movie
fun
Sinister.
family, like fun family footage, and then boom, boom, like
Yeah.
crushed up car. Turn it off. Turn that off. And it's like, oh my god, what the fuck is about to happen?
To be fair, that's also like one of the things that I was like, oh, they like thought that they should do a storm scene,
I love
and then they
that.
worked backwards from that.
I will say I loved the tornado scene
Yes,
in the
I
kitchen.
agree, but they didn't utilize it enough because then they go into the kitchen and it's not like important.
But
Like in the way that like they're in the kitchen and suddenly like you don't hear the storm really anymore. And there's
No!
arguing. I'm like have them like have them be like in the middle of the storm, and they're like screaming at each other. Don't just be like in the kitchen and they're like just standing there yelling at each other. Like be in the tornado or not tornado. Yeah, whatever.
is that the scene where he's like, I was 17?
Yeah.
I honestly, that was one of the most like gut wrenching scenes, aside from the later scene in the courtroom where it's like you can tell RDJ is like dealing with stuff
Yeah.
in his own life, and
He does trauma well.
But I mean, you don't see Tony Stark like break down like that, and you just because he's already in this like Hank.
Good.
Hank, what's his face? Hank Palmer.
Hank Palmer.
Like he's so cool. The movie.
Yeah, Breaking Bad character name.
And then he's just like freaking out in this scene. Like I was your kid. Like what are you saying? Like
The judge is somebody very loved and respected, but also hated. He's he's a polarizing figure in a small town.
You know, he's hated by the people he's put away.
He's hated by the delinquents of the town. But there's kind of this nice scene where he kind of comes into the house during the funeral. He is late to the funeral for some reason because I guess he's still at the gavel. He's at the bench, and everyone just kind of shakes his hand.
Yeah.
And then he kind of sees RDJ and doesn't really say anything. But he goes to the casket and he holds his wife's hand, and that's a great little moment from Duvall.
Duvall, who actually has no children of his own,
Really?
and has been married like 4 or 5 times. So he's really a good actor.
Breaking up with the wife, like maybe this time we'll go. He could pull a Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
He's only 93, 93
As
years
we've
young.
learned, it's really not too late.
Yeah.
You can still have kids.
Yeah. So then after the funeral, they go to the Flying Deer Diner versus the normal, like, stock diner that they have in a lot of the small town
Yeah, there's
films.
like a waterfall
Yeah,
behind, like in the
It
window.
looks like green screen, but also it looks cool. So I'll give them that.
It looked so strange that I thought it was like a mural.
Because you don't
Like
see
a
it from the
painting?
outside. Because later they break into it, and I don't think you see that there's a waterfall there, like with any distance.
I don't know how you feel. I'm not crazy about the whole Vera Farmiga subplot.
Well, I also want to address the fact
Ex-girlfriend.
I'm so confused, and maybe I didn't get clarity from this. Did he kiss his daughter?
No. That's his niece. That's Vincent D'Onofrio's kid.
Oh, I thought that was inferred that it was his kid.
That's what he thought at first, which again is like a funny gag where he's like, "Oh my god, I killed my daughter."
He didn't just like, okay. All right, so people haven't seen the movie. I don't know if you were watching or not. So he goes out drinking with his brothers after the judge is being an asshole to him, because they want to go out, they want to celebrate. And there was like a 22-year-old who's at the bar who's like, the bartender. And he's recently single from his wife with the ass of a high schooler or whatever. So, yeah, so we know, yes, we know Hank Palmer likes him young. And it hard cuts to him in like a phone booth.
Yeah, it's like a phone
And
booth
like
in the bar.
he's making out with this girl. He's groping
Yeah,
her.
his hands,
She's
like,
like
up
literally
her-
like 30 years younger than him. And we come to find out later that that's the daughter of his high school girlfriend.
Yeah,
And-
so it's like this funny like record scratch moment where he gets in the car with his ex from high school, Vera Farmiga, and the daughter's in the car with her. And she's like, "Oh, this is my daughter," and he's like, "Gulp!" Like, I literally squeezed her ass the other night in the bar.
But they make it so severe. But like, there's no way to come back from that. Like, it's not like like a peck on the kid in the night.
It's a proper
like it's like,
groping.
but it does nothing for the movie in any like meaningful way. That I'm like, why did they keep the incest subplot in? Because she's only in that scene after that, and the whole rest of the movie she's gone. So they could literally like cut her out, and it would still work 100% well. Like,
There's also this
You cut her out-
bizarre moment where RDJ's real daughter like
Is
sucks
flying.
on her hair.
yeah,
And then later, or no, I'm sorry. The 22-year-old like sucks on her hair, like pulls her hair through her mouth and like is like all seductive. RDJ drops his daughter off at the airport and she does the same thing with her hair.
he's like, what?
He's like, that's weird. And I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Like, I came to this movie for Duvall and Downey going head to head.
And I got diarrhea and incest.
This is not what I was expecting.
But so wait, so that is so that's D'Onofrio's kid.
At the end of the movie, there's like this big scene where Downey's gonna confront Vera Farmiga and be like, "Hey, like I know the girl is my daughter, but
He never says that he made out
I
with her
have
either.
to say like I made out with her in a bar." But before he's able to say that, it comes out that Vera Farmiga kind of cheated on Downey because Downey fled the town. And in that wake, she slept with his brother, Vincent D'Onofrio, and that's who her father is.
So he made out with his niece.
But Vincent D'Onofrio, again, it's not like there's this scene between Vera Farmiga and Vincent D'Onofrio. Like,
They never speak. in the movie.
D'Onofrio apparently has no idea
No idea.
about this daughter.
I was thinking about it too. It's like they kind of set it up like he's going back to the town to live there and work there. He's gonna see her again. Like it's not like that's gonna ruin his relationship. You find out the judge, he goes out to get some eggs early or whatever. Eggs.
The
Yeah, he
day
wanted
his
eggs.
wife dies, he's like, "I need eggs," and he like leaves the house. Next, actually, that same night when they come back from the bar after he gropes the girl, he's like fucking with Vincent D'Onofrio, like pulling back into the driveway, and he like slams into the garage, and he like busts the garage door, and that's what prompts Downey the next morning. Downey goes into the garage because he's ready to leave. He opens the garage. He finds his dad's car is in there and the headlights like busted. And that's like that's when you hear that Thomas Newman score, like the 70s, like doody doody, like what the hell's going on here? Like something suspenseful.
It's kind of a great reveal.
Oh, it's great. It's like it's a cool shot. And it's like, oh, it's all fucked up. And that kind of starts the real like mystery of the film.
Yeah, and it takes way too long to get to the actual like courtroom stuff,
It's
and that
like,
was something I had an issue with. Is it's like, oh, like this is a good idea, like he's a judge, but he's on trial, and it takes like way too long to get into the genre piece that it is. You know what I mean?
well, I found in the research that Dobkin was initially there was going to be no courtroom stuff.
Really?
Yeah, and he wanted to do like an anti-courtroom drama, where it's about. This guy sounds dumb as hell. It's about
Hey, Wedding Crashers, man. He wanted a fart scene.
Did we mention that Robert Duvall has explosive diarrhea?
Oh wait, yeah, literally, he did a diarrhea scene.
But
Do you think he showed the cut to Vince Vaughn or Owen Wilson? He was like, "Yeah, I mean it's good, but what if he shit his pants?"
reshoots.
Wow.
Get Duvall back.
Yeah. So then he kind of takes charge as his lawyer, but Duvall doesn't really want him to, which I kind of love that dynamic. That
Yeah,
that he
he's like, "No."
wants to help his dad. He's like, "No, I don't want you helping me."
Yeah, so then he gets Dax Shepard to be his attorney, who's like this good old boy.
Like even the host of Armchair Expert.
Oh yeah,
Armchair
10 years
Expert.
later, he's like this
Our
huge
fellow podcaster.
pod guy.
I forgot he was an actor. So when I saw Dax Shepard, I was like, "Oh yeah, he was an actor first."
Incredibly well cast. I
He's
think.
really good in this movie. He's low-key my favorite performer in this movie.
I love that bit with the puking and the
Yeah.
grass, and Downey's like, "Oh, you
Make sure they're up in the grass.
like do it in the grass, like." Once you stop, like he says something cynical. He's like, once you stop caring, and stop feeling bad, like you'll stop puking.
Yeah.
And he's like, I hope not.
With the fact that he was the small town lawyer and like he was kind of like the country hick, kind of a small town.
That was
myself.
my note where I was like, on paper, this movie should really work.
Yeah.
Like it has all that like city sun going back to the small town.
Because
like,
you don't spend enough time in the town. You really only see like 4 locations. You see the courtroom, you see the bar, you see their house, and you see the diner. So it doesn't really feel like a real town. Like you don't see like how you don't feel how the residents are feeling about this. You know what I mean?
Well, there is an extended sequence where RDJ is riding a bike around town, and he lets his arms free, and he's riding the bike with no hands, and then he fucking eats shit.
And then finds out he might have
another hilarious
gag.
gag. Like
Yeah.
he literally falls off this bike, fucks his shit up. Again, wearing a Metallica t-shirt, which made me wonder if Hank Palmer and Tony Stark would be friends, because they both have like these Gen X
And that's the question of the
rock
movie.
t-shirts.
RDJ took it because he wanted to figure out if Hank Palmer would be friends with Tony Stark.
Oh, one of the funny. I think we're actually running out of time, but one of the funny things.
Yeah, we're going really long. We've talked for over an hour.
One of the funny things that I found in the IMDb trivia. This must have been some Marvel sweaty writing this. It says, the name Hank Palmer combines 2 heroes from Marvel and DC Comics, Hank Pym and Ray Palmer, and both of them are size shifters and are scientists. Robert Downey Jr., who plays Hank Palmer, has also played Tony Stark, a Marvel Comics scientist
100%,
in the MCU.
100%. That honestly is so specific that I could be like, yeah, they were combined, the Atom and Ant-Man.
It's just funny because like I'm looking at the Judge 2014 trivia, which
Yeah,
is not
you're
a
looking
lot
for
of
juice.
trivia.
No.
It's not a lot. So it was actually very quick that I stumbled across.
Yeah.
The name Hank Palmer combines 2 heroes from Marvel and DC.
It reminded me also like I Wish You Were Here. The 2014 movie by Sean Levy starring Tina Fey, Adam Driver, Jason Bateman, Ben Schwartz.
I think you should leave. No. What the fuck is it called?
I Wish You Were Here, I thought.
I think. What the fuck is it called?
I guess Wish You Were Here.
No, I wrote it down because I also wanted to note that because I love it. This is
Yeah.
where I leave you.
This is where you go.
Confusing fucking title.
Yeah.
And
I did the Pink Floyd song. I actually wrote down.
I actually wanted to reference this movie because I was looking
Jane
at.
Fonda is the Robert Duvall.
Yeah, she's great, and actually, I like that movie better.
Yes, so do I actually.
But you're correct that it is kind of fitting that same throwback.
My boomer parent doesn't get me, but they're gonna die soon.
Yeah, that throwback family drama, and I mean that movie was actually in the 4th week of its release when The Judge hit theaters.
Yeah.
So they're both in that 2014 range, along with Guardians, which was in the 11th week of release.
Yeah, which came out in August, if
Yeah.
I'm correct. So the judge did hit somebody. You know, like his car is covered in blood. He gets arrested, and he finds out that it's the it's to blow the murder victim. But the issue is the judge doesn't remember hitting him. Turns out the judge has chemotherapy.
At first, I'm like, oh,
Or,
he has,
doesn't have chemotherapy. He has cancer.
Turns out the judge really wanted to get chemotherapy, and it's like fucking his shit up.
I do love though how he literally has no symptoms at all.
Yeah,
and then suddenly gets like really sick.
Yeah, he doesn't like remember anything, and I was like, oh, like he has Alzheimer's, like he's struggling with that. But then it's like,
it makes more sense
cancer.
almost if it's Alzheimer's.
Yeah, and then I guess,
and you save some time in the script too.
I guess with the cancer, you get the diarrhea scene.
Yeah,
so they
but
really
I love
wanted to
how he
work that
figures
in.
out that he has cancer is because the judge doesn't play chess. He's like, the judge doesn't play chess, so he must be playing chess with his cancer doctor.
Played by,
I think, Dennis O'Hare.
Dennis O'Hare, who I'm also adding to our bench.
Yeah,
Of like
really good
that
actors.
guys.
Yeah, one of those guys.
Guys who I mean, I probably know best from American Horror Story, but he's in that class with Jeremy Strong.
It's like super reliant like on nostalgia. Like it's like it is kind of going after like, the Gen X trauma, like of like the trauma like of growing up like the dad like who probably like grew up on the outskirts of World War II, whose dads like like fought like in World War II or World War One, so they had trauma they put onto the kids. It kind of is like generational trauma, but like not done in an interesting way.
No, we've seen it before, but what I think, why I would kind of recommend the film is because of Duvall. Like, I think Downey and Duvall kind of elevate what they're working with.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it is kind of the same type of Oscar movie like as Conclave. If you've seen Conclave, I don't know if you've seen it yet this year.
I did.
It's good. It's solid. I think Conclave's better, but it is going for the same type of beat. It's a solid thriller / drama with a lot of established actors that's not really trying to reinvent the wheel. It's trying to go for, here's a twist, here's a movie that your dad will love.
Yeah.
It's definitely a dad movie. Doesn't really have that much to say in the end. That's the big plot twist. He killed him.
The guy is this guy who he put away.
Oh, wait, that's also crazy.
That's a huge reveal.
That he had put him away because he had shot the windows out of his ex-girlfriend's house. And then he gave him a second chance before sending him away to jail.
Yeah.
We sent him to jail, but gave like a short amount of time.
He gets out.
30 days. Give him 30 days. So he comes back out and he drowns.
He
instantly
he
drowns
his girlfriend in a body of water. And then he's sent away for a very long time, like 20, 30 years.
Yeah. But you find out that he did that because he reminded him of RDJ.
Which
is a terrible choice. That's a terrible choice. And I'm like,
but I like the scene.
I like the scene too.
I like the scene
too. And it kind of makes sense for the character. Where I'm just like, oh, like you understand why Duvall is such a hard ass now and why he's insane because he had sympathy one time and the guy drowned a 15-year-old. So it's like, oh, suddenly you understand why this man is insane, like a vigilante, a judge, like who has no care for the law but also has his own sense of law, and like, oh, you do kind of get why he just chose to murder this guy. And
it kind of builds. I mean, it all comes to light.
I'm also like not entirely sure, like if it was intentional or not. Because he's not sure.
Oh yeah.
Do you think it was intentional? Like, do you think he like purposely like tried to kill him?
No, I don't think so. I think he turned her. He was aware of. He had forgotten he even saw the guy. That's what he claimed, and then he has this moment in the courtroom where he has like a Professor X moment. Like he grabs his head and he's like, "Oh my god!" Like I remember now. As we're talking about the movie, I'm actually liking it less because I'm like, when I was watching, I was like, "Hell yeah!" Like this is. I'm like riding with it, but now I'm like, he literally like grabs his head and like falls down. And he's like, "Oh!" Like he remembers.
It's like not a good twist.
No, it's like muddy.
It's really muddy.
But I do like that scene at the end where we're basically waiting for the whole movie, where Downey is able to question Duvall on the stand.
Yeah.
And you have this father on the stand.
I don't want to be here. He's like mad. He's like really mad.
He's like on the stand, and I mean, not that I was. It's a great opportunity in a movie to have a father on the stand who's sworn in, and the son who's giving the line of questioning,
Yeah,
and he has to tell the truth. And like,
it's great in the same way that juror number 2 was great. And it's like, yeah, like that's a smart plot.
yeah,
Like the
it's
smart
like
plot
it's
device.
such a. It's kind of a cool thing where you can have these two characters saying things they wouldn't normally say to each other in this capacity.
Yeah, that's what the
But
code
also,
of
this
law.
whole room is watching, and he gets him off based on what he says.
Yeah, or he gets acquitted, or no, he gets.
He's
He's not
found,
fully off.
He's
Found guilty of manslaughter, right?
Yeah.
And he goes to prison for 7
No,
months.
he's found. Yeah, he's found manslaughter, whatever degree.
Yeah, and then he goes to prison for 7 months, but gets out because he has
Looks like
cancer in his
shit.
plumbing, as he said. He has about
Duvall has great lines in this.
he has about 8 hairs on his head, and the ending blows. He takes him out fishing, and, he's
Right.
waiting for his brothers to show up, and Duvall's like, yeah, early in the movie that they have a conversation like the best lawyer Duvall's ever seen, and it's not him. And I'm like, oh, okay. Late in the movie, he's gonna say, "You're the best lawyer I ever saw," and he's literally on the fishing boat, 8 hairs on his head. He's dying of ass cancer, and he's like, "You're the best lawyer I ever saw." And we're just like, "Oh, I'm gonna catch this fish." And then he looks over and starts fishing, and looks back, and his dad's dead.
Well, no, part of it is this bit of honey bit.
Oh yeah.
Where Robert Downey Jr. is giving his kid bit of honey, which is like this old person candy.
Yeah.
And then later in the movie, they're on the boat, and Downey gives Duvall the candy.
Yeah,
and the
and you
shot,
find out
the
that
shot is the candy falling down into the boat,
Yes.
and that's when everyone's like, "Oh my god, he's dead."
Yeah, and RDJ's like, damn. like he's not like, Dad.
Yeah,
he's like,
so
damn.
like, okay, he's gone.
And he takes his fishing hat off his bald head and is like holding his fishing hat, and then the camera like pans out over the lake and it ends. It's way too long also. It should be like 25 minutes shorter. Like it's
Well, no,
like 2:20.
The ending of the movie is him walking around town,
Yes.
and we're meant. The way I read it was, okay, now he's gonna be the judge.
I think I like this place.
Yeah, but then the guy drives by and is like, "Fuck you!" Like what the
I'll be here for a while.
fuck?
This also just feels like a studio movie, like the same way I'm like, why is there like a hot niece in this movie that's only in it for 2 scenes? I'm like, this feels like they were like,
That
RDJ's got to sell.
That
RDJ's
does feel dated, actually.
Yeah, RDJ's got to sell. He's got to have we need like a 22-year-old girl in this for 2 scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Do you
so
do you have other scenes you want to highlight?
we haven't talked about Billy Bob yet.
Oh yeah, Billy Bob Thornton,
Who
who has a Marvel entrance.
The camera like pans around. You're like, who's it gonna be? Billy Bob Thornton, Angelina Jolie's ex-husband.
And then he like whips out this like metallic cup. And it's like, and he like fills it with water. And it's like, who is this guy?
Like, you don't remember me,
He's like,
but you're the best lawyer I've ever seen. He's a great character, where he's like, oh, I came here because you're gonna let a man like get off for no reason or whatever.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. That's a cool motivation. This character. He's not in it nearly enough. He's in like 6 scenes of this movie max, and he has like minimal dialogue. He's in the courtroom scenes and like 1 other scene, and he shows up maybe like an hour 15 into the movie.
Yeah, it is strange because you're like, oh, he's gonna become like
He's kind of the anti-version of RDJ. He looks like RDJ and probably could have been Iron Man, but he just like instead doing Landman now and like has a bandana. This movie is populated heavy by great character actors.
Yeah.
Who make it elevated from the most super bland courtroom drama to something a little bit special, which is why I'm so confused, because they get these great character actors to fill out the town and they don't really use them in an interesting way. She's gone most of the movie too, There's
that good scene though where she's on the stand, and she plays the mother of the guy who Duvall hits with his car, and they're like, oh, like how many times have you visited your son? Like when he was in prison for 20 years, how many times did you visit him? And
I can't remember.
She's all distraught. She's like, I can't, too many to count. And they're like, well, we actually have the log here. It's twice.
Fine. She like changes swiftly. Yeah.
It's like, got him. I was like,
Bad mom.
Twice? Twice in 20 years. I think it's worth mentioning that Duvall was nominated for Best Supporting Actor, as not only for the Oscar, but he was nominated for the Globe, the SAG Award,
Didn't
the
win.
Critics' Choice. Didn't win, but he was, giving some interview, and he was, even though he has like such a grumpy old man demeanor, but he like, I found like he would give like these really honest answers. So like he's talking about acting, and I guess with this film, and I guess this was like his general approach to acting, which I was like, oh my god, like I'm all ears. And he was like explaining his philosophy, and he's like, it's kind of like this journey from ink to behavior. Like find I'm paraphrasing, but like find the behavior within an imagine. What you're doing is like you're finding behavior within this imaginary set of circumstances. Like with each take, each day's work, you just have to talk and listen, like rinse and repeat. Like don't cheat it. Like, and if you don't cheat it, you'll have like rewarding, truthful work. And I was like, oh wow, like Duvall is 80 something years old at this point, and he's still like thinking very thoughtfully about the craft of acting. And we're joking about this diarrhea scene, but it is a pretty emotional scene within the context of the film.
Yeah, especially the fact he's losing his dad.
Yeah, and it's
he's
like
the anchor of the movie, Duvall. The movie does not work without that level of performance.
And it's like this universal theme of like parenting your parents.
Yes.
And I mean, we're young enough to where we're not quite at that point yet, but I mean, we've experienced stuff with our grandparents, and we see our parents having to be the Downey role now. And it is a universal theme, which I do think I think we do need a place for those kind of films where it's like these human family dramas, like, oh my god, like I'm watching Duvall, but I'm thinking about this. Like it opens up this whole world of, I don't know, reflection.
Yeah, I think movies are an escape to an extent, but like
right, you have the flip sides of Downey, where it's like,
sure,
boom, Infinity War,
yeah,
and then this.
But like I watched Terms of Endearment and I sobbed like the other day.
I have another bit of trivia relating to the diarrhea scene.
Sure, hit me with it.
Dobkin discussed the possibility with Robert Duvall of appearing nude during the shower scene. But Duvall was willing to agree to nudity to enhance the frankness of the sequence, but on the day of filming, Dobkin ultimately decided it was not necessary.
Has he ever hung dong before?
I don't know if you've ever seen Bobby Duvall's.
Because if he's hanging dong and dropping dong, I mean,
that'd be crazy.
I mean, like, that's a swan song, you know what I mean?
But like we said, like Duvall's commitment, like he's like ready. He's like ready to drop his pants.
But this also would have been way more effective as a movie, I think, if he had died after this. But he's still in Widows and he's still in Hustle, and he's better in those two movies than he is in this movie. So it kind of invalidates this as like his send off. Like he's excellent in Widows. He's excellent.
No one's talking about the judge anymore.
No one's talking about the judge anymore. So that kind of, I guess, does tie into kind of a wrap up now.
So we were already talking about like these character dramas that don't really exist anymore. So I think the first kind of big example of that in Hollywood being a huge like smash success would be Ordinary People, directed by Robert Redford, which is just like a brutal, again, in that movie, it's a son reconciling with his relationship with his mother, played by Mary Tyler Moore, and Timothy Hutton plays the son. Donald Sutherland plays the father.
Rest in peace.
Judd Hirsch plays the boy's psychiatrist. So
still alive.
It's like a huge influence on Good Will Hunting. 1980, won Best Picture. Shut out Raging Bull at the Oscars. But I think this movie is, like we said, riffing with that in terms of endearment. Another one is On Golden Pond.
I've never seen.
Which is starring Jane Fonda, who we mentioned, with her father, Henry Fonda, and Katharine Hepburn. And it's a similar story of this daughter going back home. She goes to her family's lake house for the summer, and she has a difficult relationship with her father. And again, the family's coming back together because of these circumstances, and they're kind of forced to face their years of resentment and not talking about things. This movie has an added layer of the real life daughter and father on screen together, who in real life had issues, and are able, and Jane Fonda talks about this today, there's a scene towards the end of the film where she is begging like her father, like, I just wanted to be your friend. And she says like that was the realest thing. Like she gets choked up talking about it today, and this movie came out 40 plus years ago. And it's like this interesting thing of like art reflecting life, like seeing these actors play out their own real life dramas in a script in real time in a movie that we can watch now. And it's this speaks to like the power of film. Like we can see Jane Fonda have this emotional experience 40 years ago, and we can watch it today the same as it was 40 years ago.
That's probably the same for Downey too. That's probably the main reason why he did this movie.
And
Duvall is the same type of generation as his dad. He's an artist too. And even if there is kind of definitely that mirror there of like artist and artist, there definitely is a mirror onto actual like Downey's life too.
Yeah, and another film I cited was Senior, which was the doc he made about his dad, and that's a little more literal about the relationship with his father, and also making his father more well known. Yeah, who was like this counterculture, like underground filmmaker in the 60s and 70s. He actually has a bit part in Boogie Nights.
Yes, great in Boogie Nights.
But those are my picks for the slate.
Those are
for
great.
The Judge.
Those are great. Thank you. I really appreciate that, man. That was awesome. If you can't tell by the audio medium, I am giving Sam a pat on the shoulder, like the judge would hopefully one day give to Hank Palmer in heaven.
But he died on the boat.
But he died on the fishing trip. So Sam, now that we've seen The Judge, over the years we heard about it, we finally have watched it. Would you say you wish you never saw it, or are you glad you watched it?
I'm glad I watched. I think it's a little bit too long. This movie's 2 hours and 20 minutes or something, which is meaty. But as we've said, I think it's worth a watch for the chemistry between Downey and Duvall. What about you?
I'm going to hit the other option and say I wish I never saw it.
No!
Because I'm at a point where I'm trying to always learn from movies. Like I'm watching movies. Obviously, I love movies, but like I'm watching a movie because I want to get something out of it in terms of like my own cinematic journey. Also, just like, wow, that's a fantastic moment. This movie has funny moments. It has good moments, but doesn't have a great moment for me. There wasn't anything that really stood out to me like this was worth the watch. So I think I could have gone throughout my life and I would have been happy without seeing it.
I guess I could. I see where you're coming from. If we weren't doing this show, I would be very surprised if I got around to watching The Judge.
So, do you have any more fun facts from the production that you want to hit us with while we wrap it up?
Something kind of, I don't know, a little reference is they reference Atticus Finch in the film.
Sure, yeah,
famous lawyer from To Kill a Mockingbird. And Robert Duvall's first on-screen role.
He's Boo Radley, right?
Is Boo Radley in To Kill a Mockingbird.
Wow.
So, little connective tissue there.
That's a nice piece of trivia.
And again, the fact that Hank Palmer is a combination of Hank Pym and Ray Palmer, which is not to go unnoticed.
Wait, but played by Brandon Routh in Legends of Tomorrow. Ralph?
I don't even know
Ralph is
who that Palmer guy is.
He's the Atom, bro.
All right.
He's the Atom.
I don't know the
Ray Palmer.
With DC,
But Ralph, Robert Duvall. Superman.
Makes you think.
Marlon Brando. There you go. There you go. Makes you think.
Okay.
Sam's glad he saw it. I'm glad I saw it, but I wish I hadn't.
Somewhere in between.
Once again, I'm Andrew Alexander.
And I'm Sam Finkel. Yeah, okay.
Heard it's good, didn't watch. That's the name of the show. That's our names. Thank you very much.
Shelf Warmers is a Gilden Street production, hosted and created by Sam Finkel and Andrew Alexander. Produced and recorded by Bash Lil Velasquez. Episodes edited by Andrew Alexander or Rachel Miatov. Art by Brandon Lupetti and music by Walker Perry. You can find us on social media at shelfwarmers_podcast. Thank you for listening and see you next week.